My name is Vati Yero. I'm here on K-Pool to introduce, or to mention rather, this is the start of Black August Memorial. This is the 45th anniversary of the memorial, and we would like for the audience to hear our interpretation of what the memorial is about in honor of Joe Couture.
August 2024 marks the 45th anniversary of the Black August Memorial. 45 years of damn near the same old. Yet we keep coming up against questions of how BA is commemorated. We keep having to reject watered down versions of BA. We have also had to check those who are dogmatic and stagnant in their rendition of the commemoration. Damn near in relation to the same old has to do with the dialectical movement of the commemoration over 44 cycles. It has to do with all the contradictions and challenges across the commemoration, which has us at the doorstep of BA 45. My BAM 2019 statement stated, losing our history only requires that we neglect to package and pass it on. Then when we die, it will die with us. That death may mean the end of the spiral development of BAM from theory to practice, from practice to new theory, which has characterized its growth over 44 cycles, to any whim which has apparent merit and can carry the day. 8 years after the Monterey justifiable homicide at Soledad's old wing that saw W.L. Nolan, Cleveland Edwards, and Alvin Miller gunned down January 13, 1970, a G was convened in San Quentin's Adjustment Center in the spirit of those implacable New African Ascaris who were no longer here. The makeup of this G influenced the shape of the program practice under BAM's banner. In that time and space, rightfully so. Immutable Black August, the unchangeable. Black August Memorial is a 31-day August observance, a remembrance for New African martyrs W.L. Nolan, Cleveland Edwards, Alvin Miller, James McLean, William Christmas, Jonathan Jackson, George Jackson, and Akita Joka Katori of the California prison movement. These stalwarts are the focus of the observance flea days. BA1 Katori, BA7 James, Jonathan, and William, BA13 WL Cleve and Jugs, BA21 George. Their exemplary commitment is honored by BA participants with 4 24-hour 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. fast on BA1, BA7, BA13, and BA21. These days mark the date these Ascaris were pushed from this existence. All occurred during the month of August, except the 13th. During BAM's 27 non-flea days, we fast from sunup until the evening meal. that is, any time after 4 p.m. If possible, these meals should be taken in group.
At the top of this segment, I spoke of the makeup of the individuals that was at this G that etched out what Black August was going to be. So we are an adjustment center, and it was on our yard. It was any number of folks that were Jama, and then there were any number of folks that were from the Nation of Islam. So in 1978, Ramadan fell on the first day of August, when we were telling the individuals that weren't in the adjustment center that were our folks that what we were going to do. Trying to cut through some of it, we were saying like, this is like a Black Ramadan. In Ramadan, they go from sun up to sundown without eating. The water, we wasn't drinking water and weren't listening to the news, watching television, and so on and so forth. And so anyway, we passed the word. Police figured, well, shit, since they ain't figured to be focusing on us, fine. We don't have no problem with this initially. So they fed us along with the Muslims in the first year. By the second year, they did have a problem. And they told the Muslims, well, if you're going to do Black August with Ramadan, we're not going to feed you. So we did what we had to do. So, and so far as it pertains to from theory to practice, from practice to new theory, we at this time were on the same tier. It was 39 cells, and we fed one another. And at that particular point, the sundown aspect didn't have a problem. However, since at the same time, the individuals that we mess with, these are scars, they soldiers. So like, you don't pick your fights. You fight whenever, it's necessary to do so. So, like things that's going to take away from the strength of the individuals, we put out of that program, primarily where they were dehydrated and so on and so forth. You could drink water whenever you wanted. We didn't do the thing about that individuals continue to go to this thing about from sun up to sundown. We didn't do that at that time because, like I said, we were on these long tiers. We could take and break it up in sections, and we could feed ourselves. We didn't really need the authorities to do so. However, at some point in the process, actually in 1986, towards the end of the year, they moved us into these new prisons, right? And these are like modular prisons. They have pods. So you might have a couple of guys over here, or 3 or 4 guys over here, and they might be 2 on this side and 2 on this side over here. And they were designed to isolate individuals. So even if you had something and the other person on the other side didn't have something, you couldn't send it to them. And so like you got an issue about this meal, because like we want to make sure that the individuals that's in this program are not only be able to do the program, but be able to deal with whatever challenge is in front of them for whatever day they happen to be in. So we changed this sun up to sundown thing from sun up to the evening meal. We say, therefore, from theory, which is the theory of how Black August should be ran, and then as we begin to practice Black August and the externals began to respond to that practice had to adjust to the demands of the people that were doing it. The environment out of which we come, and we prisoners, right? However, prison reflects the environment in which that produced it. So you got society and you got prison. What's going on in society is going on in prison, just at a concentrated level. You got a condensed space with individuals in that they can't leave, and however, they regarded us the same way as we were regarded on the street. These individuals, WL, and the rest of the individuals who we put up as Black August martyrs, took the position that, hey, they were going to determine what their place was. And they didn't give a damn. And, it was comrades of WL who told him or asked him, hey, you know what this is. Don't go out to this yard. This is a new yard. They opening this yard. Don't go out there. We've been in this building for over a year. There's animosities, hostilities, and revenge plots that exist across all groups. Don't go out to let this stand, and maybe go out tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. They go to the yard. So the friction that existed between the ethnic groups that were there blew up. Anyway, since partner of them really wasn't worried about this, they knew they were able to deal with it. But they didn't anticipate that this guy that was on this gun tower was gonna, intervene to try to make sure that this thing came out in a particular way. Now, he didn't shoot and kill either one of these brothers. He shot them. Then they allowed them to lay there and bleed out. Subsequently, the Monterey grand jury came back and said that this act was justifiable homicide or manslaughter or whatever, right? And so you get from that the Soledad brothers. In other words, the dragons spit fire and told them, hey, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Hey, we're not going to countenance this for another day. Sad singing and flower bringing, it ain't going to be just on our side. And that started a process that it took from January 13th, 1970, I guess you could say, to August 21st, 1971. And, if those who are interested in that, they could go and look, at what transpired in that. Anyway, from that, though, since it really didn't end there, they established that if these people, that is to say the authorities, wanted to interject themselves in the contradictions that was going on between prisoners on the side of a particular group, fine. But they were going to get the same thing that you would give one of these groups. That basically stopped this effort to try to make them think that, if they behaved in a particular way, that they risk being shot down, in one of these yard fights or whatever. So they backed up off of that for a while. I think you would have to go to Corcoran's gladiator fights, and I think they shot some brother down out there. But by this time, it just, the tactics that they use, whereas they had more or less been exclusive to, blacks, maybe even people of color. Today, I remember this guy named Renegade when I was in the adjustment center in '84, who stabbed this guy that they call Killer Fred, right? He's a gunman. And partner asked him in a way like where he was saying, hey, we on the same team. Why did you do that? Did you do that? Anyway, they eventually transferred this person. This is a white boy. They transferred him out of San Quentin and sent him to New Folsom. And the gunman caught him digging a knife out his ass one day and blew his brains out. So that tactic had changed from something that was exclusive to us to this was just across the board. They wanted to make sure that you knew they were the controlling power. And the gunman caught him digging a knife out his ass one day and blew his brains out. So, so they was, so that tactic had changed from something that was exclusive to us to this was just across the board. They wanted to make sure that you knew they were the controlling power.
Who was W.L. Nolan?
A young black man out of Oakland, California, who had got caught up in the system and sent to prison, and began to, with the time he had on his hands, began to find the gifts that he had. So, unlike today, then, if you were in prison, like they'd give you, I don't know when I was growing up, they had these little 10 transistor radios, that they'd be like little squawk boxes, I think they had these $39 radio record players then. But anyway, like they might be playing music over a headset that was inside the cell, but you was basically in your cell whenever you weren't out your cell, that is to say on the yard or doing some slave labor at one of these trades that they had, you were in your cell all the time, right? And once you factor in lockdowns into that, sometimes you would be in your cell around the clock, right? So, but in that environment, you develop interest, and you generally, as you begin to work through that, you come to, I got a talent for this. And so WL had a talent for law. He had a sense of self as a new African person, and as a male new African person. And he bonded with other individuals of like mind. So he was trying to take them to task for they do it. He was a threat to the status quo of the time, therefore they felt they could do to him how they saw fit, basically they, shot them down to, let it be known that these are the types of things that could happen to these types of people. WL's skill was at law, Jud's skill might have been at art. And actually, these TVs that they have today happened because of the ingenuity that was manifest in the prison population. So they had to find something else that would distract these individuals. Said, well, we can put these in here and make a few dollars at the same time, But anyway, these individuals weren't following the same, didn't say that they were equally gifted or were pursuing the same things, right? Politically and ideologically, they were tied to one another in the structure that they came to put together. And then, again, and this is an evolution of things because if you take when the bus boycott started, down south, what is that, 55? So you taking the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and like this contradiction as it's running, it stood up this crew of individuals that was gonna say, hey, like we're gonna be the best we can where we are. We don't give a damn what you say, and that was manifest. So, and they Black August leaves, you know. That's basically what that is. I don't really distinguish between WL and anybody else. However, the loss of WL was different than these other individuals organizationally, you know, and and the same thing with regard to George. Like you see the vacuum that results with the loss of that leadership.
What is and what are the flea days?
Joe Katari is a flea. WL, Cleve, and Jugs are fleas. Jonathan, James McLean, William Christmas are fleas. And of course, George is a flea. And a First Liberation Expeditionary New African Fighters. And that's what a flea is. So those days are in commemoration to them as fleas, and they in effect, the origins of BAM and BAR. Not only the memorial, but Black August Resistance. 13th to 21st are always going to be part of Black August. Like the 27 semi-flea days are always going to be part of Black August.
What is the significance of Black August?
Well, basically is the determination to rise to the challenge that you have in front of you, or to shrink from it. And so far as it pertains to them, given that the bar, insofar as what they were able to do to stay under the radar was so low, and basically they were telling them that they had to be on their knees. And they said, bump that, and stood up. So their challenge was to let it be known that they weren't going to be pushed down, and they wasn't going to accept the assignment that had been given to us. They were going to resist that, by any and all means. And like I said, this thing is, even though I made the reference with regard to, development inside, how you could get into a situation as it pertains to the development inside the concept of Black August, where you interrupt this spiral, right? It was only natural that they were going to come to the conclusions that they came to. And that isn't to say they wasn't going to necessarily be Gaidis. Now I'm saying that this concept, but they were. They were going to be resistance fighters to that which did not respect who they were. In other words, the system called them into being. They rose to the occasion, I've done Black August before the in '78. You know, and I think Comrade Hashima and myself, this must have been '80 or something. We did Black August, and we were in San Quentin's North Block on the yard side. I believe the sun sets on that side of the building too. So we were going from sun up to sundown, drinking, you know, like I think 3 cups of water or something to that effect there, and weren't taking any distractions, no TV, no radio. We was reading and writing, and it seemed like that was 100 days from August 1st to September 1st. Anyway, it was good because and he was at, I think it's 44 sales on these tiers, and I think I was in 20, he was in 5. So it was impractical for us to be trying to, you know, talk to one another. We had to be in our thrones, you know, so. When Black August Memorial was created, I was there. But I don't think that insofar as the insight and understanding, you know, like when they murdered George, they felt that loss. And they came out to show that loss in ways that it would translate across the time and space between them and us. You know, when we sat down and began to think about making this memorial, you know, like those were one of the features that we picked up on. So we know that on the 9th of September, they murdered some of those brothers, as opposed to, you know, like changing the conditions under which they languished. The fight is different than it was at a particular time. That don't mean that the fight is not still ongoing. They have consciously conspired against the development of Black August. I don't know. It's probably somebody that's listening to this show that's a prisoner. They probably know me from prison. I got out of lockup, solitary, in 2015. Before I got out of prison in 2023, they had put me in this dorm, right, which was a strange environment. But anyway, the individuals that were there just simply could not imagine, you know, like the amount of time a fool had been locked up, not just in prison in general, but I was in the hole for 38 years straight.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
And so, like, they was like, well, bruh, please, how did you do this? You know, like, actually, since, I knew what their program was at a particular point in time. Some of it was, you know, like, fool didn't respect the rules and was, you know, doing whatever. And, you know, that got me locked up. And then some of that, you know, you got to account to mutual combat type situations. So the way I figured, you know, that shouldn't put you in no worse sense than you were before any one of these events may have occurred. But it did. So I think that what they were trying to do is let these individuals know that they should stay as far away as they could from anything associated with this memorial. Mm-hmm. Because if they came to it, they were going to give them what they gave us. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, since people, and more so over time, just have the need to run off at the mouth. So like an individual might ask, what about, this, that, and other? And I've seen some of these programs, and they be lying their ass off. But down in themselves, they know. And like that ingenuineness, right, is translated over into the streets. And it has created a situation in these areas that we in that are dangerous. Like you might be in a neighborhood that ain't a neighborhood. You can't even come out and sit on your porch. It's hot as hell in these houses. And individuals are behaving in ways that show no regard for who we are, what we've been through, and the potential that exists in us.